Joseph Vaz was born on April 21, 1651, in Banalam, a small village in Portuguese-controlled Goa. His parents were devout Christians of the Konkani Brahmin caste. From childhood, he was immersed in languages and learning. He picked up Portuguese in his father's village and Latin in his mother's. He then studied rhetoric, philosophy, and theology at the Jesuit colleges of Goa. He was ordained a priest in 1676 and quickly became known as an eloquent preacher and compassionate confessor. Yet his heart longed for the mission field. Reports of Catholics suffering under Dutch Calvinist persecution in Ceylon stirred him deeply. He asked to be sent there but was first appointed superior of the Canara mission in India, a post he held for 3 years. On his return to Goa, he joined the newly founded oratory of St. Philip Neri and became its superior, but in 1686, he surrendered the office and set out for Ceylon in disguise. When Father Vaz landed at Jaffna, he encountered a church devastated by 50 years without priests and by a regime that banned Catholic worship. To avoid arrest by Dutch authorities, he traveled in secret, wearing the clothes of a beggar. He settled first in the village of Ceylon, where a significant Catholic community survived, and rekindled their faith through clandestine masses, catechesis, and works of mercy. Pursued by Calvinist officials, he moved his base to Putlam, continuing to minister covertly for another year. In every place he baptized children, heard confessions, celebrated the Eucharist and encouraged his flock, often under cover of darkness. Recognizing that a more secure base was necessary, he chose Kandy, the capital of an independent Sinhalese kingdom. The local people initially suspected him of espionage and threw him in prison. Even there he evangelized fellow prisoners and gained the respect of the king, who eventually freed him and allowed him to preach openly. From Kandy, the missionary priest rebuilt the church on the island. He gathered scattered believers into communities, instructed them in the faith, and constructed chapels, schools, and hospitals. Other priests, including 3 oratorians from Goa, joined him in the late 1690s to assist in this burgeoning mission. Together they built some 15 churches and hundreds of smaller chapels, bringing the sacraments back to thousands who had been without them. Rome considered creating a new diocese with Joseph as its first bishop. He declined out of humility and because his health was deteriorating. In his later years, he suffered greatly from fatigue and illness and remained mostly in Kandy, but his spiritual influence continued to grow. He died there on January 16, 1711, leaving behind a rejuvenated Catholic church in Sri Lanka. After his death, devotion to Father Vaz grew. His cause for beatification was opened in 1737, but initial proceedings were delayed by political upheaval. Nevertheless, miracles attributed to his intercession were reported, and devotion endured. The cause was revived in the 20th century. Pope John Paul II beatified him in 1995 in Colombo, and Pope Francis canonized him on January 14, 2015, making him the first saint from Sri Lanka. Today, he is honored as the Apostle of Ceylon. Accounts of his life describe how he mastered several languages, lived an ascetic lifestyle, surviving on simple food and sleeping on the ground, and showed tireless compassion for the poor. He once disguised himself to administer sacraments to Catholics hiding in rice paddies and forests, often celebrating Mass with only a few flickering lamps to avoid detection. He also converted the King of Kandy through his gentleness and intelligence, illustrating how charity can disarm suspicion. Saint Joseph Vaz's legacy speaks to the power of missionary zeal anchored in humility. His willingness to leave his homeland to serve a persecuted church, his inventive ways of evading capture, and his steadfast commitment to pastoral care demonstrate a faith that transcends borders. He was not just a wandering preacher but a builder of communities. He organized catechists, trained lay leaders, established schools and clinics, and ensured that the faith took root in local culture. His refusal of episcopal honors shows that leadership is service, not status. In a world where religious freedoms can still be threatened, Joseph Vaz remains a model of perseverance and ingenuity. His feast on January 16 invites believers everywhere to support the suffering church, to share the sacraments with those deprived of them, and to trust that patience and love can heal divisions and transform societies.